Hello everyone and welcome to Chess Plays. Today I would like to show you some funny lines in Scotch Gambit game that you can use as white to maybe get advantage over black and to trick him in a position that uh, it's better suited for you and that you know better by looking at this video. So let's first see how we arrive at the Scotch game and then how to arrive at the Scotch Gambit game, what the subject of this video is about. So e4 is the opening, e5 classical defend for the black, knight f3, knight c6, and d4 strong and provocative move. So we now arrive at the Scotch game. We want to take control of the center. We just ask for black to take this pawn and to regain some control in the center himself, not to allow us to take all the center here. So e takes d4, and then we don't immediately retake here this pawn, but we play another move, bishop to c4, and now we have arrived at Scotch Gambit game. And in this position, normally black should play knight f6, bishop c4, which is equal position to white according to Stockfish. That is bishop c5, sorry. And this is equal position to Stockfish. This would allow white to capture the pawn on d4 before playing before black plays bishop to c4, bishop to c5. But there is another line for black that he can play, and that is to try to continue the attack or to start the attack on our king, since if you can see this, our king is exposed here on the black squares. So since our opponent has a black bishop, he can attack us. So if he does it, it's very tempting, so this really might happen. If he does attack us, really, we have to defend here. So we play c3, d takes c3, and theory now suggests that the white castles. But there is a more interesting line that I would like to show you, and that is to take the pawn on the c3. And now we come to the critical point of the game. Black bishop doesn't have many squares now he can go to. He can go to the a5, c5, d6, and d7, and we will cover each one of these squares. So as we can see, black is in serious trouble. So there is no immediate threat except we are telling the black that we want to capture his bishop, and he has to retreat. So let's start from the e7, d6, c5, and then a5. a5 is the best choice for black if he wishes to save his game. But let's see what happens if, for example, he would play bishop to e7. If bishop decides to go to e7, so white has a really powerful move with the queen here, and that is queen d5. And we are threatening checkmate on the f7 square that black really doesn't have many options he can defend with. He can try with knight, but notice that we have bishop on c1 that is aiming this knight. So we will use the remove the defender tactic for this square and just remove the defender here. And now we are threatening checkmate here. Black has to castle. And if he castles, we have a free piece, and it doesn't look really good for the black. We have developed our bishop. We have a battery here, a bishop and a queen. We have removed black's knight. So our position looks good. We can castle after we move bishop to safety, and it looks good. It looks good for the white. So e7 is not a really good choice. e7 is not a really good choice for the black. So let's see what happens if black would go to the d6 square. This should not be considered really, because if you take a look at the position, black is slightly behind development and white bishop is really trapped here. He's not controlling any of the squares, any of the light squares here, and it doesn't look really very well. We don't see when this will happen, that black can develop his white bishop. So this doesn't look really well, and this move shouldn't be considered. But let's see what happens. We should castle. Black would probably develop queen to f6, rook e1. We're just looking how the game might look like. Knight e5, we take e5, bishop takes e5, f4 attacking the bishop, bishop takes c3, we attack the queen, queen goes to c6, we take with knight, queen takes c4, and then knight e4, and this position proves winning for white by a large amount. So we have already said that e7 and d6 are really not to be considered. So we have now c5 and a5. So let's see what happens with the c5. So white here can quickly get its pawn back and prevent black king from castling. How? With this stunning move. Bishop takes f7 with check. So obviously black has to recapture. Now we have this powerful move, queen to d5, check. Black king moves, and then we take again the bishop with check, queen to e7, and then we move back queen. So we're in a really good position here. Black has not castled, black king has not castled, and it really looks a lot better position for the white. So let's see our last option, the a5 move. That is the last option that we have. Just a second. Okay, so a5 is the only logical choice now the black has. So bishop a5, as we said, is the only acceptable move. White should castle now. Black should do okay if he can castle, but the point here is to prevent black from castling. And black has a few options here. He can play knight from g to e7 and try to castle. He could play knight to f6. He could also play d6, or he could play bishop b6. So first, let's see the first option. If this knight moves from g to e7. Now we have a really fantastic move. Since we are targeting this f7 weak square, we need to add additional pressure here. So what move adds pressure? It's knight to g5. So, and in this position, black has two options. He can castle, or he can play knight to e5. Here to add one more defender on the f7 square. And let's see both of the options. Let's see what happens if he goes with knight to e5. White can take knight. So white can take with knight takes f7. It looks funny move, but after black takes with his knight, we take again with our bishop, king takes, and then we have queen h5, really powerful move with check and double attack on the king and on the bishop. After king moves, we take the bishop, and white really has a better position here, since black cannot castle. Rooks are unconnected, his bishop is not developed, his queen is sitting here on the d file, so it doesn't look really well. So let's go back and see what happens if black castles here. Then white can simply play queen to h5. See, we are threatening a checkmate here. Obviously black has to stop this, attack our knight, and then do you see the move now? Knight takes f7, and after rook takes f7, we take with our bishop takes f7 and check the king, and king has to move, and it looks really doomed for black, and white is really having a better position here. So if we go back, not this back, so we said we have seen what happens if knight goes from g to e7. Let's see what happens if he goes knight f6. This is also bad because we can push the knight with e5. And the best continuation for the black would be to attack our bishop. We pin the knight. Now black would play probably knight to e4 on this nice outpost. We play queen to a4, bishop to b6, bishop takes c6 with check, b takes c6, queen takes c6 with check, and then queen takes d5. White is now a pawn up, and black king is not castled yet. So we are still enjoying a really good position here. We are attacking black's knight, and it really looks overwhelmingly better for the white. So let's go back. We have seen what happens with knight f6. Let's see what happens if d6 would be played. After d6, white plays queen to b3, attacking the f7 pawn. So queen to e7 is the logical move to defend this pawn, but white here has e5 move that is very strong. And notice that black cannot capture with a pawn, because I will show you what happens. If he captures with pawn, then we can attack the black queen with our bishop from c1 to a3. He has to move the queen to probably f6. Now we play bishop to d2, knight to d2, aiming to go to this square on the e4 and attack the black's queen. Black plays knight from g to e7 with the aim to castle, and then we bring our knight to e4. Queen g6, we take the knight, black recaptures, and then we play a knight from e to g5. Black castles, and just look at this now position. So many attackers on this f7 square. Black is really collapsing. We take with our knight. After rook takes, we take with our knight that was sitting on the f3 square passively, taking the e5 and then jumping into the action. So here really black collapses. So let's go back. We have seen that really, even if black plays a5 move with his bishop, he's in a really bad position. So probably the best choice here would be bishop to b6 for the black, and this would be the best continuation for the black to escape from losing the game. How the game might continue: we would play e5, knight from g to e7 to castle, a3, bishop a3 to attack, to develop, make our bishop active with some useful ideas. Black castles, and black has finally castled here. So knight from f to e1, knight a5, bishop d3, d5, e takes d6, c takes d6, bishop, knight from b to d2, bishop c5, bishop takes c5, d takes c5, knight c4, knight g6, knight takes a5, queen takes a5, bishop takes g6, h takes g6, queen b3. And this is how the game might look like. Let me just go back to the position. So yes, so even if black plays this a5 move, it's really looking bad if he wants to castle immediately and plays knight from g to e7, knight f6, even d6. It all looks bad. So the Stockfish recommends bishop to b6 move that we have covered. So I would like to thank you for watching the game with me, so for learning something new. If you like the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and hope to see you some other time. Bye.